Welcome everyone to this video by W.D. Gunn and his fellows. In this video, I'm going to introduce a book by Cefario called The Arcana of Stock and Share Key. So as everyone knows or has recognized that everything has got a beginning, right? Everything has got a beginning. The importance of that beginning helps forecasters or can help anyone know or determine what influences should befall that thing that has just begun. So the beginning might be of a metal market, like the metals market, gold, for instance. It can be for index markets like step index. It can be also generally the whole stock exchange beginning. It might also be a person just simply being born, right? How these influences come about is as a result of the figure of the heavens that we're going to draw up or can be drawn as a result of knowing the date, the time, and the place. The place giving us the geographical coordinates of that location. So once we have these three parts, or four parts, they are what makes up what astrologers might refer to as the Radix, or the natal chart, or the root figure, right? So once we have these details, we draw up what is referred to as the zodiac chart, right? The zodiac chart and the planets within it and how they're interacting with each other on that first date or day of beginning. It gives the variety of influences that are to follow, that are going to influence or play a major role in that thing that has just begun, whether it's gold or any other market or a person or a country or anything else that has just begun, right? So the root figure of the heavens gives a variety of influences by natural process of celestial motion are indicated. So in short, the way the planets are interacting with each other on that date of beginning, and also how they're going to, in reference to that very beginning, influences that they have with each other from the very beginning, and their subsequent movement of their motion in future gives or indicates influences that should happen. So the influences might be, if we're talking about stock markets, it might be bearish moves or bullish moves, where it might be sells or buys. Basically, that's how we're going to tell what's going to happen by tracking the movements of these planets in reference to the very date of beginning, right? Or in reference to how the same planets were aligned and were interacting with each other from the date of beginning. Okay, so the first thing that we need to remember going forward is that basic the basic markets that we're going to be looking at uh, the New York Stock Exchange itself, generally the whole stock exchange, which began in May 17th, 1792 in New York, right? At 12 hours. The other thing that we have to consider is that we're looking at the market that is generally a market, not one individual makes up the market. As a result of that, we need the sun, which is the governing well, the overall king, right? In astrology is the sun, right? Being the sun. So he's the one who gives power to any planet to rule whatever exchange or metal or index to rule for the rest of time or within a certain period of time. So him being the king, generally his influence is the most strongest at 12 hours. So looking at a mass large of people, 12 hours is the most suitable time to actually set the beginning time, right? 12 hours. So of course the stock exchange might have started, let's say, at 10 hours in the morning, but since the stock exchange itself is its players are a lot of people, large masses of people, 12 hours gives the accurate is the accurate time to put for anything that generally a lot of people are influenced are taking part in, right? Like for instance, markets. So gold also itself, that of people that are investing in gold and a lot of people that are actually uh, participating in gold in the gold market. So we generally also put 12 hours as the beginning time. So for gold, we have December 31st, 1974, New York as well, at 12 hours. So step index, which is offered by Derive Broker, or which was formerly known as binary.com broker. Uh, the step index was introduced in May 23rd, 2019 at St. George in Grenada, which is literally in the Caribbean. Again, at 12 hours, seeing that it's a market in which a lot of people participate in, right? So if it was a human being, would have required that the time should be specific because it's only looking at only one human being, right? So the time might have been, let's say the person was born at 04 in the morning, or it might be 2 in the afternoon, right? So markets generally the participants are a lot of people. So 12 hours is the accurate time to set, right? So with this in mind, seeing that most of the examples that we're going to give, I'm going to give in the subsequent videos, and also in this video, uh, I'm going to configure my Astrolog to New York, right? Then Grenada, we are going to be just changing the location when only we are trying to give an example of step index, but gold and the New York Stock Exchange should provide the best examples in this video and the subsequent videos. So yeah. So now we're going to head to the checklist 3, where we're going to look at how we're going to set up the Astrolog Oasis platform so that we can use it uh, for drawing up charts and also predicting the future movements of the exchange or the gold market. So you can head to the web, to a browser, and then you type in astrolog.com/astrolog.htm, or just Google astrolog, and then you head to astrolog.org, and then there you see this window. Once you see this window having Astrolog 7.5, it might change, of course, with time. However, so you head to download files. Once you click on download files, it should give you this window where it says the latest versions of Astrolog. So you might go for the latest versions of Astrolog. However, the one I'm having is Astrolog version. The previous versions are of course down here. So the latest the latest version of Astrolog is Astrolog 7.5. However, the one I'm having I installed was version 7.3. So whichever case, it should work for everything that we're going to need, whichever version you pick. Yeah. So you go ahead and download Astrolog 7.5, then you install in your Oasis when you install and open Astrolog, it should give you this window. Yeah. So my Astrolog is 7.5, as I said. Quite right, this it's already set, but let me go through initial settings, default settings. So you have to head to info, just on the top uh, uh, panel. So info, once you click on info, it will say default chart info. So default chart info, you click on default chart info. On location, just down there in the last box, you need to type in the location of the location of the general location that you're going to be using to draw up those charts. So the location that we're going to stick to is New York Stock Exchange, because first of all, most of our examples are going to be based on God, which was originally introduced or began in New York City, right, America. And also the stock exchange, the New York Stock Exchange was introduced in New York. So we're going to use New York for now. However, in subsequent videos, whenever we're looking at another market which did not originate or start in New York, we're going to change the location. But for now, we're going to put the default as New York. So we're going to type in New York in location. Once we type in New York, we say look up city. Once we look up city, we've got New York, West New York, we've got East New York, but we're going to have to click on New York City, NY and USA, right? Once we click on that, then we can say apply. Once we apply, the coordinates automatically, whether it's longitude or latitude, are set, and then yeah, we'll just simply say yes afterwards. So the default is New York City, and then we're going to head to settings as well. So on the aspect settings, we're going to go to settings, then we click on aspect settings. So on the aspect settings, you want to leave you want to unrestrict the conjunction. So you click and you remove the tick on conjunction, we remove the tick on opposition, we remove the tick on square, on trine we remove as well, on sextile we remove, on in conjunction we remove, on semi-sextile we remove, on semi-square we remove, and sec we remove as well. So the orbits, on the orbits, it might give you a variety depending on the when you install. It might give you a variety of them, but make sure that the orbits are set to 5. So here is the reasoning. An aspect might not be exact, right? It might be off. Let's say it's supposed to be 90 degrees, exactly 90 degrees to make a square, right? But it might not be exactly 90 degrees separation between two planets or more, between two planets. However, what astrology or astrologers, or let me just say Safario, has come to us is to find is that the only uh, uh, should I say margin that we have for accurate predictions, or for an aspect to fully be active, is only if it's less than 6 degrees. So in short, it's 5 degrees 59 5 degrees 59 minutes less to exact, is the only uh, window that we can allow for an aspect to assist to for us to trade an aspect. So on orbits, we're going to make sure that the orbits are just within 5. So you set 5 here on conjunction, 5 on opposite, 5 on square, 5 on trine, 5 on sextile, 5 on in conjunction, 5 on semi, sextile, 5 on semi-square, and 5 on sexy quadrature. So once we do that, we can leave the default colors okay, and the influences as well same. The angles, of course, it gives us that conjunction is simply 0 degrees or 360 degrees, and then opposite is 180, then square is a 90, so trine is 120, sextile is 60, in conjunction is 150, semi-sextile is 30, and then we'll go to 45 and a 135 degree angle. The rest of the angles here we restrict, so we'll leave the ticks on these other ones, and then we don't have to change anything else from there. So once we do that, we just simply say okay. We go back to settings, and then we have got objects. So on objects, basically we're not going to do anything, so we're going to leave the settings like that. Then we say we go back on okay, so it's just aspects, and the rest of the issues, let's say calculation settings. So we go on settings, rather on settings, then we click on calculation settings. So in calculation settings, we're not going to change anything. So on settings again, and then we go on display settings. On display settings, we're not going to change anything. Quite right, we might change the display setting to zodiac or 360 degrees, whichever we prefer, but zodiac position is the best for now. But yeah, and then yeah, basically we don't change anything else. Depending on how well you look at time, if you want, you can display time in 24 hours instead of AM or PM format. I prefer 24 hours. It's easy to remember than AM and PM format. So apart from that, you can click OK, and then we head to the next thing. So info, okay. So once those settings are done, which are the key settings that we're going to mostly focus on? So the settings that again we focused on the aspect settings, right? So we said the first 9 aspects we unclick, and then the orbit should be 5. Then the rest of them on this other side, we leave them the way they are and ticked, and then we simply say okay. And then again on objects, we simply leave them like that. However, let's go to settings, and then on restrictions. So on restrictions, what we're going to do is that we're going to make sure that Earth is not is restricted from being shown on the list, and then the rest of them should be okay, should be left like that. Then on minor objects, we make sure that the north node is unticked. So the north node should be left, and then of course ascendant should be unticked, and the midheaven should be unticked as well. So midheaven should be unticked, ascendant should be unticked, the north node should be unticked, and then we tick or restrict the Earth planet there. And then yeah, we click OK, and everything should be okay. So we just go to make sure that we save these settings on file. Once we click on file, then we go to we say save program settings. Once we click that, it's going to give us a window. It's going to give us a window where we have to set the settings. So we're just going to say save. Of course, replace, and we just say yes. And then that's the default the default settings that we have put. So the other thing that I will have to introduce is that once the settings are done, right? Once the settings are done, we can head to chart. Once we click on chart, we can click on aspect list. So aspect list is as good. Once we click on chart and aspect list, we can always just click the V on the keyboard to move between the zodiac and the aspect list. So the aspect list already shows that here on orbits, our setting was that they should be less than 5 degrees 90 or 59 minutes. So as you can see, they are less than, like this one. The aspect between Saturn and Uranus, it's about 5 degrees or 4 degrees 51 minute. And then the other one is between the Moon and Mercury Inc. So we've got a 150 degree aspect between the Moon and Mercury, which is at an orbit of positive 5 degrees 27 minutes. So once these settings are verified and are done, it's going to lead us to our next video, where we're going to now start giving the other parts of how we're going to we can now start using Astrolog. So let me head back to my checklist. So in short, the introduction to the book Arcana and Stock Market and Share Key simply says that the date, the time, the place, and the geographical coordinates of the place give us the route, or give us the zodiac chart, say, which looks like this, like this. So this zodiac chart I've just simply drawn up is simply for this exact time, which is October 6th, 2022 at 10:45 New York City, right? So I think the video is I'll have to come back to another video, and then I'll introduce the charts for the New York Stock Exchange, for gold and step index. Yeah, but remember, 5 degrees 59 minutes is the only allowance for an aspect. Anything above that, the aspect is not cannot work, right? And then two, we need to know the date, the time, and the place of anything that we want to trade, or anything that we want to know the future about, right? And yeah, so with this in mind, and the settings that we have done in Astrolog, thank you, and looking forward to the next video, where we're going to go deep into drawing up these charts for New York Stock Exchange, for gold and step index, and then we'll look at how we can get to whether it's going to be a buy today or it's going to be a sell today, and everything, and more. Yeah, thank you.